there's a 200,000 year period where we're an endangered species. The human family goes down to about the size of Bixby, Oklahoma, give or take 60,000 people, and they're all living in an area the size of Rhode Island in Africa. And it's really intense resource deprivation. So it's not a situation where if you've got a big orchard and my tribe comes into the orchard and your tribe goes into the orchard, I go, don't worry, we'll just walk over to the next orchard. No, there's not enough food for all of us, so there's going to be some hard decisions that are made, and probably the group that is preemptively, proactively aggressive, that has those drunk 21-year-olds looking to fight and just goes out looking to cruise and fight people, they're more likely to survive and pass on that aggressive, proactive, tribalistic behavior. So that's the first third of the book. The second third of the book is your question, which is, well, okay, if that is innate, if that's something that's not unique to our time period, but latent in all humans, what changed to make everybody so dickish? And I had to reevaluate my position a couple of times. So when I first wrote the book, my initial thinking was, because we're so tribal, we have to have an enemy to unite us, and that America won. We defeated the Nazis, and then turns out communism's stupid, and so the Soviet Union imploded under its own big dumb weight. And once we no longer had a Marvel superhero enemy that we could rally against, we turned around and went, well, I guess I don't like you. So that was kind of the starting premise for it. But the more I researched, I was like, that's a part of it, but it doesn't really hold up to empirical scrutiny. So like you go back to the 60s were a very tumultuous time. I mean, there were
Yeah.
multiple assassinations going on, the Weather Underground's bombing people. You've got MLK shot, RFK shot, JFK shot. I think it's hard to argue that the 60s had any type of like particularly convivial moment going on, despite the fact that the Soviet Union was still a menace. So I had to go, well,
Right.
that's not really it. And then I kind of thought maybe it's some of the electoral quirks that we've got in the United States. And I think that that's a contributing factor. We have gerrymandering that's going on in Texas right now. Gerrymandering artificially results in more conservative and more progressive candidates in either party. And we have first past the polls, and we have closed primaries in most instances. And so, like, it is a contributing factor because only like 6% of people that are eligible to vote in primaries do, and they're usually the most pissed off people. So you're going to get situations where the Republicans nominate the most conservative Republican, the Democrats nominate the most progressive Democrat, and then folks like you and me have to pick between King Joffrey and Ramsey Bolton. And like, we didn't sign up for any of this. So I think that's part of it. But then I thought about it more, and I was like, well, there are other countries we could compare and contrast here. And then I started looking around, and I went, well, the British have a different model. They have a parliamentary system, and they're also like a lot of the things that progressives in our country view is like, if only we could do this thing, then the whole country would be fixed. Well, those things have already largely happened over in the UK. They have socialized healthcare. They are a step to the left of us. A Tory over here would really be a Democrat over there. Barack Obama would comfortably be a Tory in the United Kingdom. And I can report it is not a love fest over here when it comes to politics. Particularly here in Scotland, I literally had a friend here in Edinburgh when Margaret Thatcher died. I posted on Twitter, "R.I.P. Maggie Thatcher, up in heaven privatizing the pearly gates," and my friend defriended me because she was offended that I would imply Margaret Thatcher was not in hell. And I called her. It was like, are we really going to end like, we were able to salvage the friendship, but they're really up in arms. And then you look at like the rest of Europe, like France pretty much has ranked choice voting, which is something I advocate for regularly. France is in for a really fiery time. They've got Marie Le Pen and they've got Macron. And like, I don't spend a lot of time in France, but I'm pretty sure if we were to go talk to the French people, they would not say that it's a delightful place with a consensus that they all like. And we could do this all over the board, where there seems to be rising levels of partisanship and rancor and toxicity around the globe, regardless of the political system, and even in countries that have different political economies than we are. So I ultimately arrive at, I think the game-changing element is technology. I think that's the thing that's changed, that's pissing everybody off. And my thinking on it is, we're living in a time right now kind of comparable to when the printing press was invented. So to get back to religion, Martin Luther didn't have any new ideas. And I'm not saying that to piss off the Lutherans in the audience, but I think Luther would agree with me. He'd go, no, there were all these dudes that precipitated me. There were guys in England that said we should print the Bible, or should we have the Bible in an English translation, and then they'd catch that guy and set him on fire. And we should have priests that aren't intermediaries. They'd catch that guy and set him on fire. There was this monopoly on information up until the printing press, where the Catholic Church and the Inquisition was pretty good at identifying and stamping out heresy, and you just couldn't write out pamphlets by hand that quick, so they could kind of stomp down any information that they didn't like that came out. The printing press happens. Now you can just crank out pamphlets as fast as you want, and suddenly we're living in a world where ideas can spread faster than anybody can stamp them out. And the result was that Europe no longer has a monopoly. It has more gatekeepers. It no longer has one gatekeeper. It has more gatekeepers. And so Europe went, well, I guess we should just murder each other with swords and cannons for 300 years. And they did. And then eventually they all got tired and become atheists. And then they turned into whatever they are now. But I think we're kind of living in that period. I think between television atrophying a lot of these old communities that we used to be a part of, now we just stay home, watch TV, and the internet and Twitter and social media, that we are engulfed in information, that the information is it's algorithmically designed to be inflammatory and to appeal to our baser instincts, which are pornography and tribalism. And so it's running roughshod, and we as a society have not caught up to that technology yet. So I think that's what's going on. I think that's kind of upset everything, and we're just coping with this sea change right now.